Alrighty, everybody, guess who it is? It's Luke with Owls, and we're here for another very unique episode of Owls TV. We were just talking one-on-one. We did a Zoom call with James Sonnier. You see him often in the comments. And it's always important to us. We want to hear your story. We want to hear, how did you learn about owls? We want to know, who are the people of owls? And where are you from? James is from Texas. Each state is always very different. And I think I'm fascinated to learn more about what it's like to be in Texas, or whether it's Alabama or wherever that may be. And so we're going to repeatedly keep doing more of these. So if you are, we want you to be participating. Leave some comments below. We want you all to be a part of this, and if you want to share, you want to come on our YouTube channel, we would love that. And so yeah, we're just gonna get right to it. And it was a really good conversation, very inspiring. And one thing I learned in this conversation is that a lot of people, they're in pain, or they've had some level of suffering, and they are looking for something to help them, whether that's a cream, whether that's a pill, whether that's a vape. And more often than not, there's this frustration of the pharmaceutical industry not being able to provide, or providing with drastic side effects. And for some people, yes, that is important that it's there and it has its place. But for some other people, they want to try something alternative. And I think it's always important to hear people and their story and what's really worked for them, so that you, the user, can actually decide for yourself what's the right choice for you. So really hope you enjoy the video. And you know what, we're going to hopefully try to add in markers. So if you want to maybe skip through, because sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I don't watch a video. I mean, how many human beings here actually watch a video forward to the end? I mean, there's always this, let's skip through it, or I know I want to see this bit, I want to talk about that bit. And so we're going to cut this up so that you can see, hey, skip to this 1 minute mark, skip to this minute mark, skip to the end. Because if you're bored by some parts of it, and that's just life. You can never have, just some stuff that for some people will be super interesting, others like, I don't want to hear that anymore. So we'll put some timestamps in here so that you can click through it. Hope you found this video enjoyable. This is just the start of our parliament, everybody. So let's get it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks. We are live. So James Sonnier, how are you doing? We met each other through, obviously our YouTube channel, right? And you actually called me one day, and we had a wonderful conversation. I felt really inspired after talking with you, and I just thought it'd be a good idea for us to do a Zoom here, so that we can learn a little bit more about, hey, what's it like in Texas with hemp products, and Delta 8 obviously come online. And I just love to learn a little bit more about yourself, how you've gotten into hemp, and just what it's like down in Texas.
It was a pure accident. What it's like in Texas, it was 87 degrees last night at 11 o'clock. I don't know why there's any fat people in Texas, man, because you wake up sweating and you go to bed sweating. It's just it's a different kind of hot. I went up to Colorado, and the people were talking in Colorado about how hot it is in Texas. It's just humid.
I just had a friend come back actually from Texas, and he completely was just like, it's a whole other level down there of heat.
It's a completely different level. It just sucks the energy out of you. You walk out, you leave, and if you're in the professional world, you try to look as clean and as nice and as presentable as you possibly can. You do that for about 15 minutes in the state of Texas. You walk outside and you're soaking wet in 20 or 30 minutes.
Damn.
But it's miserably hot. I had a friend went up to Portland, Oregon, and he was talking about how freezing cold it was, up in you guys. Snow everywhere. The only way we're going to see snow out here is by accident. I'm 55. I've seen snow here in Texas maybe 2 or 3 times. That's it.
55. What's the secret? You're looking well for 55, my friend.
Thank you. I trained in the gym for about 37 years, and
37 years in the gym. That's serious now.
look. So the funny thing is when I was a kid, I got beat up a lot. I was bullied. I was the poor kid. And when everybody else had cool clothes and whatever, I didn't. So I got beat up. And then about my 8th grade year, I was raised in a Christian home, and my mother believed in turning the other cheek. And I learned real quick that by turning the other cheek, I just got 2 black eyes, So
Sure.
I learned real quick turning the cheek. But I've always wanted to stay healthy, man. Just wanted to take care of this vessel that we walk around in for hopefully 70, 80, 90 years. I got a grandfather that lived to be in his late 90s. And but anyway, I've just always, just tried to take care of myself. I had so this is a good segue into how I discovered D8. So about 5 years ago, I retired. I retired myself, and I was going to do something I loved. I was no longer going to worry about making a living. I was going to make a life.
Sure. Do you want to tell us a little bit? You want to tell us a little bit about what you used to do, or what your career was in before you retired?
Well, I've always been into sales. I was 11 years old. My dad fell at what they call Livingston Shipyard. He fell 48 feet and broke every bone in his body with the exception of his back. And I think his collarbone. But everything, he had a leg that was broken in 13, 14 places. Another leg that was broken 30 places. He crushed both of his heels. He fell out of a scaffolding. And this is the sad thing. So this is kind of the Sonnier luck. He fell out of a scaffolding, and then 2 other guys fell out and fell on top of him.
Oh, sorry, that's terrible. I shouldn't be laughing. That's terrible.
That is terrible. But they fell on top of him, and this one guy crawled out, and they thought he was drunk on the job. So my dad and this other guy laid at the bottom of this big drilling rig for several hours before they finally said, "Oh, wow, we're missing some guys." And I'll never forget. Like I said, I was about 11 years old, and the phone rang, and my mother said, "Oh my God." And I said, "What's wrong, Mama?" And she said, "Nothing, everything's going to be fine." Well, I knew then. And Luke, that's when my life changed. I've never been the same since then. I was never a kid. I don't remember playing with trucks or cars. Every now and then we'd go outside and play cowboys and Indians and stuff like that. But I had a job when I was 11. And I understood the value of $1 at the age of 11. I remember standing at my door and listening to my mother cry, thinking that she was fixing to lose the house. And I knew that I had to get out there and make a living. So started picking mustard greens at this lady's house, and I would go to the shopping center and I would sell them. I'd pick mustard greens all day, and I would sell a bag of mustard greens for $2. I would get $1 and she would get $1. And after about a month, 2 months of that, I was like, man, I'm never going to get anywhere. I'll never be able to save our house. I've got
mustard greens ain't it.
Is not it. I saved up as much as I could to buy a lawnmower, and you're going to laugh at this, And I asked my mom, I said, look, I want to help with the family as much as I can, but can I keep $2 or $3, because I just wanted to buy this push lawnmower for $20 because I knew I could get about $1. So I get out there and I buy this lawnmower, and the guy cranks it up and says, look, I want you to know you're buying this as is. It's running fine. Are you happy with it? If you are, give me the money. I gave him the money, and I get out to my first yard like 2 or 3 days later, man, and I'm like, you know what? I'm fixing to be a millionaire. I'm going to be rich, filthy rich. I'm going to mow yards. And I pulled on the lawnmower, and within about 37 seconds, it runs out of gas. So I had to go back to picking mustard greens and selling them so I could buy gas for the lawnmower so I could mow yards. And that's where my career started. So it was just buying and selling. Started off with hard work, and then I got into, I'd been with several companies, and me and you had this conversation, and it rung true with me. And I would work for these people, and they would constantly change my commission schedule. Hey, James, we're going to help you out. We're going to change this. And next thing you know, I was making great money. Now I'm not, because they keep changing my commission schedule. So I went and got another job, and that happened. I got another job, and it happened. And finally I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going into business for myself. And I was probably 21 or 22, and started out with windshield repair. I would buy this kit that would fix these stars on these windshields. And then the windshield business left into detail business. And then I started thinking, well, man, if I can make this money repairing cars, what can I make selling cars?
Sure.
And that was my goal. It took me about 10 years to get into the car business. No one would finance me because I was too young in business. I didn't know anything about the car business. And so I just saved. I've learned a long time ago that there's nothing easy in this life except for failures, letdowns, and ass whippings. That's the honest to God's truth.
That is, you just spoke the truth right there. That is, it's easy to fail. Yes, it is.
And Luke, the beautiful thing is when you get that figured out, when you figure out in life that nothing in life is easy, you actually cherish it, because then now I've got my north.
Sure.
I know what I've got to do. I've just got to work hard, and I've got to be prepared. A diamond, before it's ever a diamond, has to go under a ton of pressure, friend.
Yes,
and
it
without
does.
that, ever be that diamond, you'll just stay that lump of coal. So I learned that at an early age, and thank God I just had a desire to be better than who I was supposed to be. My dad was just a pipe welder, and
yeah,
and we're always we just come from a construction family, and his dad was
heavy labor. It's hard. It's a hard life.
Tough. And when that's all you know, and that's what you're good at. And another reason why I was in the gym is most of the time I couldn't hire work done out. So I had to be strong enough to do it on my own.
Sure.
So, but then when I got into sales, just buying and selling equipment, I really learned how to make that money make money. And that's what I retired from. When I finally got out, I hated the car business, because this is one thing that you'll love, because this is one of the things that I love about you. You're about character, man. That your videos, there's some of your videos I've wanted to unsubscribe for just so I could subscribe back to your channel, because it's just that good. And there's a lot of people out there that probably only concerned how high is your product going to get me. I don't care about that. When I first, and we got off onto this tangent, when I first discovered D8, let's fast forward. So I got tired of being retired. I thought retirement was going to be fun. Really not. You want to continue to make something. I'm a maker. I'm a builder. That's what we do. That's good men do. They build something. They try to make a difference. And staying home and watching your money disappear is not making a difference. So I was really frustrated that I'd worked so hard to retire before 50, and I was miserable. So then I got into the construction world, because that's what I knew. And I thought, I'm going to mentor these young guys.
Sure.
Once you're in business for yourself, Luke, you could never go back. I tried.
Ever.
Miserable. And I said, you know what? So retirement's not for me. Working for somebody else is still not for me. So let's get out and let's do something else. And I helped my wife start her business, and it's been flourishing and doing well, man. And I just love building something. Anyway, so when I was in the construction, I tore up my knees. I was working. I was 48 or 49 at the time, and again had been training for over 30 years. So, I had lots of heavy squats, lots of stuff I shouldn't have been. So I was just tearing up my knees, and walking on that concrete. I would walk 13 to 15 miles a day, according to my phone. Crazy. On concrete with toed boots, going from welder to welder to fitter, and my knees just started giving out on me, man. So I went from, I think at 48, I was in the best shape of just about any man out there. I was in great shape, man. Going to the gym about 2 hours a day, and just eating healthy, living healthy. And when that health took a turn, so your knees start hurting, so you can't walk as far. So you start putting on weight, which means that now your knees are really going to start hurting even more.
Mm-hmm.
I was always afraid of taking any kind of pills, or my mother was a devout Catholic. oh, you're going to get addicted to anything. And I'm reading about this opioid crisis. So I'm like, man, I don't want to get addicted to that. And come to find out, the only thing I've ever really been addicted to is work, you know,
Sure.
so I'll never get addicted to drugs. So I started trying everything, man. I ended up having 2 knee surgeries to prolong knee replacement. And he said it would buy 2 to 5 years. I'm at the end of that. I'm right at 3 years now. And all I've done is gotten better, because I don't know what it is, Luke. I just think sometimes these doctors really miss it. Number one, they don't understand how a man can persevere and make up in his mind he's not going to stay down.
Well, mind over matter is huge, right? I think you got to get this right first. And a lot of people, you know, just like you said, right? If you're not put under pressure, you got a lot of people sometimes that they instantly think, okay, I need a pill for this. I can't do it. I need the doctor. And that is I'm not against doctors by any way, shape, or form. I think it's extremely important. But the most important thing is, I think, where you give your power to. Sometimes with the doctor, it is, and this is what I love about cannabis, this is what I love about hemp, is that the power really gets put back into your hands. If you say, you know what, this Delta 8 works wonderful for me, you don't need to go to your doctor and say, hey, is it okay that I'm going to take a little more for this, it makes me feel good. The same thing with side reactions, right? If you're feeling like, oh, Delta 8's not for me, or CBD's not for me, you decide to yourself, you know what, I'm going to make that switch. And it doesn't work for me, isn't like, oh, well, guess what? You just had like a seizure, or you just had, some chronic illness come up as a side effect, and you go back to the doctor helpless, like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, oh, there's another pill here for you. And by the way, your doctors have complete immunity if you ever were to die or anything like that was to ever happen. And so, yeah, I think it's incredibly important that you were able to have the mind over matter. And so how do you think it's made the switch? What's changed? Obviously you believed in yourself, right?
I wanted to say something else, and another thing, you get on these medications, and Cat Daddy, when you get off of them, you have all these side effects that you have to deal with, and all these withdrawals, and I've seen some of these horror stories of these people getting off of Zoloft and getting off of opioids. And so I'm like, man, I'm not even going down that rabbit trail, Cat. I'm smart enough to know if this is a relief, what are my other options? How can I make this my last option, getting on this medication?
For sure.
So I read and research, Cat, man. I read and read and read and read. I try to read. We own a television, but I promise you, we very seldom turn it on.
Sure.
We're both avid. I love to read. I love to research. And I started looking into CBD let me fast forward. So let me rewind. So when I went through my surgery, they prescribed 30 codeine pills to me. And those 30 codeine pills are still sitting in the drawer. I never used the first one. I'm talking about because I refused. I said, there's a reason why God allows us to feel this pain.
Sure.
And if I'm not feeling it, I'm gonna injure my knees that much more.
Yeah, and I think a valid point that you said there is that, like, there is more often than not, there is not a full existing remedy for your solution, for your pain, right? It's like, here's something that sort of maintains so that you can continue, but it's not like this fixes everything for you. And more often than not, you get on these, for instance, I saw recently they lowered the age for prescribing oxycodone to like down to 7. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, you gotta be shitting me. And the people, adults, who often get on these medications legally from doctors, and they could be on them for years, and then the doctor says, okay, that's it, you're done. There isn't like you're done. What more happens more often than not is these people end up having to then go to the streets or somewhere because they're going through severe withdrawals, and then they can't get the same. And what do you know? Heroin's available, fentanyl's available, and before you know it, it's like it all started. A majority of these cases, and I used to judge a lot of these people on the streets, but you know what? I've really come back to, I believe that everyone is always doing the best that they can do, and that if some of these people could have another solution. Like for instance, it's always easy to judge. It's hard to put yourself in people's shoes, and for some people it's like in so much pain, went to the doctor prescribed some opiates. The opiates are like help them considerably, and but then there's a dependence, and then suddenly it's like that's done now, and you're like, but how do I get off this? And sorry, that's it, we're done here. And it's a slippery slope.
It's just horrible cycle, and I watched it in the construction business because so many of those guys are in a tough business where you can jack up your back and jack up your knees and jack up your hands. And I remember I used to be so judgmental, like you said, because I thought it was a weak man that got on the field.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm experiencing this pain where I started taking aspirin, and that was a drug to me. And I started taking drug to me. And the next thing you know, I'm like, man, but there was this desire in me that I'm not going to let this get me. There's too many things that's come after me in life, and I'll be damned if these knees are going to get me. We're going to find a way to make it work. So I really, really went into some research because I may grow old, but I'm going to fight it.
Yes,
I am not going to grow. I'm not, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not going to go old gracefully. I'm going to go grow old screaming and hollering and fighting and cussing and raising hell because I'm not afraid easily. You're going to have to drag me there, friend.
Yeah.
So I started researching everything. And, there's just so many things out there, Luke, that just doesn't work. So then you can be tempted to go to those things. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to do something else. And I couldn't get back into the gym because I was hurt. I couldn't go anywhere without walking without a cane.
Yeah.
I just hurt. So I started studying CBD and listening to all the testimonies of CBD. And dude, it just didn't work. So my daughter moved to Colorado here about 2 years ago, and I was up there to see her, and I was tempted to buy legal,
marijuana,
THC.
Yep.
Marijuana. But I had tried it a couple of times when I was younger, and it was projectile vomit. And I hated being disconnected. I have to be I have to be able to control.
Sure.
So I went to this guy and I bought a full spectrum CBD. And I talked to this guy who's from cool as all get out, man. And he said, look, I messed up my back. I fell through some sheetrock. This is the only way I can survive. Well, he didn't have a battery. He just sold me the cart. So he said, when you get back to Texas, find you a non-variable voltage, such and such and such and such. Yep. So I get back to Texas and I look for it and I walk into this shop and this guy goes, what are you trying to use? What are you trying to do? I said, I'm trying to get away from some pain. And I said, I don't know how to use this cart. Can you show me what I need to do? And he says, bam. He shows me one of Al's competitors' products. He said, this is going to make it. This is going to work. He said, this is THC. This is going to work. And I said, how in the hell do you do that? What?
Yeah. This is in Texas, is this?
You're trying to legally sell me weed? Come on, Cat Daddy. Let's maybe go out there and fight in the parking lot because you're trying to get me arrested. So we joke around, and sure enough, he sells me a disposable D8. And me and my wife get in the car, and me and my wife, and we are really squares when it comes to stuff like this. We're going to the restaurant to eat. When we pull up in the restaurant, I said, well, look, let's try this. And I hit this vape, and Luke, I don't know where I went, but I went somewhere, and we just both looked at each other and was like, what the heck? There's no way this is legal. Let's go home. We're going to go in here. Everybody's going to know we're high. Everybody's going to know this. So we just freaked out, because it really, it hits like D9. But so it was just normal paranoia. But when we get home, I'm like, I haven't been noticing my knees are hurt.
Yeah.
And it's D8 is just like, I mean, so many people say it's just like the sister to D9. It's the cousin to D9. It's the champagne instead of whiskey. And it just, and so I said, man, this is something that I can, and so the next day I wake up and I'm like, I don't have the normal worries. I didn't have the anxiety that I normally have. It just kind of edge off of me, man. And, if you're an aggressive man, you can just be an asshole a lot. And it kind of removes that asshole. It kind of, it put me on a different plane of thinking. I've always been a thinker. I hope I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
I've always been a deep thinker. This allows me to think in a whole different way because it allows me to somehow forget about all the other bullshit. And you suddenly realize that all the other shit is bullshit.
Yes.
Luke, it's really been the first time that I've tried something that I knew wouldn't work, that it work. It just works.
And then how did you come across, I'm always fascinated, like how did you end up coming across the Al's YouTube channel? Because we were obviously...
Okay. So again, I'm just this, I study and I research everything. So I'm like, if this is going to make a difference in my life, Luke, when you grow up with nothing, as you grow older, you want the best of everything. You may not have to have 50 things, but I want the best. I may only get one, but I'm only going to get the best. And I started looking because, you know, being into bodybuilding and being in all that, everybody thinks you inject yourself full of drugs. A true bodybuilder that's not professional, it's not getting out. He is going to be careful about taking care of this temple. He's going to be careful about what he puts into his body. So I started saying, hey, if you want to use D8, who's the best out there? And you and I have talked, and I don't even want to mention the competition. You and I have talked, and I've tried certain things. And then I started seeing these videos about bleach.
Yeah.
The videos about people overdosing and dying. And I'm like, oh my God. And what I think it is, to be honest with you, I think it's a lot of maybe the tobacco industry. Somebody's trying to scare you from this because it's cutting into their profits. Or maybe if I D9, I'd make sure that D8 would not be legal because it's going to cut my profits. So then I watch these videos over and over again, and I see this guy with this cool accent, and he's talking about owls, and I'm like, what in the hell does this guy got to say? But the video I clicked on, dude, was the best thing in the world that happened. You were talking about your moral north. That's my words, but you were just talking about doing the right thing. I think it was the video that you made about when you could buy first place.
Sure.
And I said, there's something about that cat. If a man is that, and you can't hide that, Luke. You can't hide that. When somebody starts talking about being a good man or being an honorable man or wanting to do the right thing, I can read bullshit, Cat Daddy. My bullshit meter is about that long. I immediately pick up on it.
Thank you.
So I started looking into your product. And when I seen how many times you gave all of the rope to be hung, in other words, you would say, go look. The last video you made, hey, watch the heavy metals. Go look at our COAs. You would tell, go bust me, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Go find out what's wrong with my product. None of the other competition was doing that. No one else was saying, hey, go find out if we're real.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my opinion, Luke, if you give all of the rope to someone to hang you, and that can't hang you, that's an honorable man. That means that when he's making up his mind, I can cut cost on the cart, or I can sell quality. I'm going to have quality. I can cut cost on the oil, but I can't. It's just that quality. So I knew that if you were always stricken with trying to do the right thing, it has to be that way in your business. You can't unwire yourself. You can't be in this. I am in business the same way that I am with friendship, only maybe a little sterner, a little stricter in business.
Sure, you got to be.
And so then I'm like, I find all these other products that I really don't want to try anymore because Luke has convinced me that he's the shit, that Al's is the thing to get. And I got Rolls Royce, man. I just got to. I don't want Volkswagen Beetle. I've had too many Volkswagen Beetles. I want the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
So I start, and that's when we first contacted each other. I actually called your number, and it went to a voicemail, and just like the other competitors. And this is what's so sad. I hope your competitors don't learn what you're doing. I called and I couldn't get a hold of them, but you returned a text. And I was saying, hey, I'm trying to find your damn product. I can't find your product. And I was frustrated because this was about a week and a half of going into every vape shop on the planet. I mean, I probably, and this is no exaggeration, within 100, 150 mile radius, I know there was 50 to 60 stores I went in. and no one had it, but they all wanted to sell me a $10 cart. I said, man, I don't want a $10 cart. Well, can you tell me about owls? And then I would go into the sales pitch about owls, because I was just repeating what you and the COAs and some of these guys is, no, I hadn't heard about it, but I'm going to look into it. And finally, one of the local
it's Smoking More in Netherlands is where you ended up.
And I went there and I asked the guy, I said, look, do you have owls? And he had every cart imaginable. I mean, really, really nice shop in the worst location on the planet. But he's just really got a nice shop, and he's just a good guy. And he said, I'll get it. And I said, now look, when you look into this, they're expensive. He said, I've already looked into it. He said, they sent us some gummies and a cart. And he said, my guy wanted to sell them, but he said, I just don't think that people will buy it. I said, I promise you, if you order them, I will be your first customer. And then I told him, I said, you can't just quit. And this, I'm trying to talk to this business owner. I said, quit selling on price point. And look, I don't think that owls, you can't, I mean, I understand you want every customer that you have out there.
Sure.
But you're not going to get every. Well, some people just want the bottom. Some people just want to get high. Some people just want this or some. I wanted the best product, and if I have to pay for it and I can justify it. And when my experience, when I bought two of them right from the rip. I bought a platinum and I bought a gold. And when the packaging was just cool. These other guys had these blister packs.
I hate the blister packs. Don't get me started on these shitty bloody blister packs. Oh my God, I hate them.
I know that somebody hasn't switched this. How do I know that this is the you understand? So it's so easy to counter. And then when I got the little plat and I peeled off the label. Of course, before I peeled off the label, I looked on the
QR
scan code.
Yeah.
And what's cool is once you scan that code, it lets you know you can't scan it again. That somebody else has already. So I was like, man, he's really making it an act of Congress to copy his, because he's that protective of his name. And again, look, the thing that you can, I sent you a text one night. Don't ever change. Don't ever do not let anybody change who you are and your goal. That dream that you have is your dream. And if I can't say it, that's okay, because it's your dream. Don't ever forget it.
No, you really, James, I mean, as I said, and that was at a point, because it's, after that, I've really done my best, right? Doubt is something where you really are not trusting in the reality that you're being given. You can call it God, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but when you've doubt and you have that fear, you are going against the grain of the fact that we're loved, you're safe. And we had that call, and I said, you know what, you empowered me. I talked to Sean, and I said, Sean, we're doing more videos. We're doing more videos now. We're hitting daily. And I felt really inspired, and that really transitioned into us talking now, because I realized that, like, everybody has a story, right? Everybody has a story. So the majority of people that I speak to, they've been in pain. Pharmaceuticals haven't worked for them. They're looking for relief. Whether they can't get cannabis in their own state, and now they can get Delta 8. I think we're only beginning to see now the freedom of information after the internet now being available for 20 years. And the facts are the facts. I mean, look, your dirty laundry is going to be aired out one way or the other, right? So you have a choice to have your integrity, or you can maybe try and make your millions now and then suffer later on. And it's just, again, there's so much short-minded thinking in this world. And it's like, again, and that's what really was important for us, even with the packaging, right? Where do you think those blister packs go? They go into the ocean. And I tell you, I did some research on just the ocean plastic, and there's a between like Boston and Europe, there is a plastic. You look at it as like a plastic country. It's the size of Texas, of just plastic in the ocean that is just floating around. Basically just destroying the ecosystem, destroying all of the fish, and we eat those fish. Right? It's like the whole entire. It's just ridiculous. And so, I think we're at a point now where it's like, guess what? You can find out. You can find out where to get, good packaging. You can find out. You don't have to be plastic. You can be plastic free. You have a choice, and where people put their dollars is really what is the issue here, because guess what? People don't make products that no one wants to buy, right? And so if you are buying a one-time use shitty product, you know what? You give those people the power to say, yes, more people want this. And until you ask for change, you're going to keep getting shit. And more often than not, it just comes back to people either not being educated, right? Like, hey, you're in Texas. And for me, I was very apparent because I originally, I came from Ireland. Ireland, I suppose, very similar to Texas, right? Lot of Christian, right? We've got the Christians, obviously Protestants up north, but very Christian, and still like, oh, that marijuana stuff. It's changing now, but that marijuana stuff that gives you schizophrenia, right? Like that type of attitude, and now, I mean, it's like there wasn't a lot of education then around like, well, what is good cannabis, right? What is a good product? Because guess what? Everything is black market, and that means you just so and so, you go and see them, whatever, quick shake of the hand. And it's like, what is this? Where did it come from? What strain is it? Is there no testing, no nothing? And so I looked at that and I said, okay, well, I see this as Delta 8 right now is like, okay, these people don't know anything. Okay, boom, we can get them shitty, cheap products. They're not going to know any difference. Who cares? And I hear this a lot. Oh, no one cares. No one cares. Well, guess what? I'll tell you this. People don't care until they're educated enough, and once they're educated and they go, hold on a second, these guys here completely been selling me junk this whole entire time, and what the hell is that? I don't want to put that in my body. So it's like very quickly it speeds up, and so rather than it be like, hey, how can we make some quick dollars now, and then don't worry, once they catch on later we'll change, I prefer to just be like, this is it. It's quality, and if you want cheap other products, there is such an abundance of those other products elsewhere. And I talked to our wholesalers. I asked them, I'm like, who's our competition? Who's doing products like this? No one. And the answer is no one. I haven't found any. And maybe maybe there's someone that's got good oil in their cartridges, but no one seems to give a crap about packaging. I hardly see anyone with any sort of conscious effort when it comes to our impact on this environment. And then when it comes to like, I try to figure out, well, who actually runs these companies? No idea. And when I made the choice at the very start, I was like, I'm not hiding from anybody. And as long as you check your facts and you have lawyers, you talk to attorneys, you know what, America is really the land of the free. But you gotta make that move for yourself. If you live in fear, there's going to be others, and they will run by you. And so at the very start, I said, I want to put my face on this because I want people to know that I'm not hiding from anybody. You see me here, where are the others? Because it's my integrity, and it is, if something ends up happening, then obviously I got to bear that cross. And so I wanted to give people the opportunity to see, hey, there's another human on the other side of this. And then it's just, I'll be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing sometimes, especially at the start. God, those first few YouTube videos, I mean, but you got to start somewhere.
Listen, that's sometimes the best place in the world to be. You don't know what to do, so you don't know that you're supposed to fail, Luke. There's certain things that you're not supposed to do, but you do them anyway, and you make them successful because you didn't know you were supposed to fail. So sometimes that's what you do. You need to have that attitude that, look, I don't know. I'm going to try it. I tell you when you fail, when you will fail. You just don't try. That's how you fail. That's how I guarantee you nothing changes. And you were talking about money a while ago, Easy money, I promise you, I've learned easy money is easy gone. Easy gone. It's not going to, and you're talking about being honest and upfront. When you I don't care unless you've got a seared conscience and a reprobate mind. When you lay your head on the pillow at night. You have to live with the choices that you've made. Are you after the almighty dollar, or are you truly inspired to make a difference in this world? And that's, again, what Owls does. Not only do they make a great product, they care about what's happening to the world. That was secondary or thirdly or fourthly that I learned about Owls is, hey, we're using recycled plastic or plastic from the ocean. So it was just a bunch of beautiful things. It was just things that attracted me.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this. The one thing for me that really resonated was to actually be the conversation that we had. You spoke back to me about stuff that it resonated with me, that finally the message was going through, right? That people were seeing it, and for me, that back was very fulfilling. And it drove me more to, okay, how can I make more improvements? How can we be better? How can we get out the products and make sure they're just always robust and just the best possible ones? And, that sort of drove next to the review team and trying to, okay, well, let's get the end users first to try some of these products before they're released. So if there is, because sometimes, people think, oh, more terpenes, less terpenes, more flavor, less flavor, or hey, the topical's a little runny, or more heat, less heat. And this is the thing. I mean, Owls, we've got our 3 pillars for Owls. It's quality, community, and sustainability. So between those 3, it's like, boom, get the quality dialed, got that. Next is sustainability. Okay, how can we be making more improvements? Sure, we've got some reclaimed ocean plastic tubes and hemp plastic, and that's great. But how can we be better, right? We've got some other, plastic-free packaging coming out. And then community, I mean, just trying to get the community lifted. I believe we're going to have one of the best communities in the world, because the people who actually care are going to, and even just this, right? You're commenting, we're going back and forth, and now boom, here we are doing a YouTube. You get to tell your story, and people get to listen. And I tell you this, James, there is people out there who are going to see this, and they're going to find something in it, whether it was released, something you explained about your story, where you've come from. And even for me, it inspires me, because I think, you know what, maybe we have like a construction line, or someone who's in that heavy labor industry who needs, that extra help, or just something, I don't know. So I feel inspired through communication and talking with people. And it's just, I feel blessed. That's all I can say. I feel really blessed. What's it like in Texas? I mean, is there still this sort of bad connotation around hemp? Is that sort of changing now?
This is what's really weird. So we live in the Bible Belt, and sometimes in the backwoods. Not all of us. I love Texas, but so I couldn't find your product, so I go into Louisiana. Well, guess what? In Louisiana, I live about 5 miles from the Texas-Louisiana border. So I went into Louisiana Owls. There's 2 or 3 times I just wanted to choke you because I couldn't. You sold me on your product and I couldn't buy the damn product.
Sorry, I know. I'm sorry. I'm always I
go into Louisiana, which is a little bit more liberal than the state of Texas. They have gambling casinos. They have this, and they drink it. I'm a Cajun. I'm a coon ass. I come from Louisiana. I was born in Louisiana.
Yeah.
There's no deep products. None of your competitors are you, because it's still taboo. It's still a no-no. So it really surprised me. Texas refused to stay in the dark ages. We've got a few, and let me tell you something. In the Golden Triangle, which is Beaumont, Port Arthur, Orange, we've probably got 50, 60, 70 smoke shops, dude. I'm just talking about every little town's got. So it is just really taking off, and it's everywhere. Now I think you don't have a lot of opposition, Luke, because a lot of people don't know about it.
Sure.
And the few people that do know about it are kind of keeping their mouth shut, because we know every time we find something good, somebody takes it away from us.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't really like these videos that a lot of these guys are pushing. Oh man, I'm high, I'm lit, I'm blah, blah, blah. Keep on, Cat Daddy, and you're going to ruin it for us. Just keep on, and you're going to ruin it for us. Does it give you that euphoria? Does it give you a little bit of a... Yeah, but it's not like...
So does alcohol for people, right? Like crushes people, right? There's like a hell of a lot of other worse things you can be doing.
Why is alcoholic? I've never seen anybody turn into an asshole over THC.
Yeah.
But can you say that about alcohol?
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody get fight because of THC. But can you say that about alcohol? Alcohol is horrible. Yet we can go and buy all we want. We can go buy all we want. Store just forever. And really is there anything good about it? It just takes the edge off for just a minute, but it ages you and it tears you up.
Yeah. I mean, coming from Ireland, I mean, I used to be a heavy drinker. And it just dawned on me, you know, I was, you know, you gotta go downhill before you can come back up, right? And I was always someone very confident, and I was always able to brush off the funniness, and the funniness was more like me just destroying my body, you know. At some points, even wetting the bed, and it got to the point where I just said, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this to my body? And then I realized there was never a time when I felt like, oh, you know what, I had a drink and I just had such a wonderful idea. It was more often than not, it was wrecking my body, no respect for myself, no respect for my environment, no respect for others. And then I said, do you know what the worst thing was? In Ireland, it was like, it's just more socially acceptable that people get drunk a lot. And it's just like, I don't know, it can be harder to break the mold. And I was fortunate to come to America. I remember when I first came over here, I mean, I found it weird that I'd go to social gatherings and people wouldn't bring like a 6-pack of cans. And then I slowly began to unwind, and then I was seeing that I was always the drunkest one. And then eventually I just said, you know, now I might have a glass of red wine or something, maybe with a steak or something like that. But apart from that, I mean, it doesn't really do anything for me. It's not anything that I like to indulge in. And you know, every time might have a drink or two, and then I say, you know what, that's not really what I want. And so, you know, Delta 8 was something for me. I used to enjoy marijuana a lot. I mean, marijuana has its place, but for me at least, and I think for a lot of people, I need clarity. You know, I need clarity. I need to be turned on, not turned off. And that is something that Delta 8 really, really helps with. And the fact that we can, you know, whether it's a vape pen, take a couple of puffs, boom, dial in your dose, whether it's, you know, the nano capsules, take 1 or 2 or 3 of those, dial in the dose. And more often than not, it's like it's something just in the back of the head. You feel good, you feel relief. And yeah, I think it's here to stay, honestly.
You can still function. You know, when you're talking about alcohol, I kind of forgot this, and that's one of the things that I really started. No one else would say I abused it, but I knew I was abusing it.
Sure.
You know, because you literally, if I told you how much I drank, you'd be like, that was nothing. But I knew that it wasn't good for me.
Sure.
But the funny thing, the difference between Delta 8 and drinking for pain, I don't go into a think mode. I can't concentrate. Sometimes if you drink too much, you can't remember what the hell happened.
Sure.
The beautiful thing, you're connected. You stay connected. You don't disconnect. Except for in the places that it doesn't matter. A lot of that stress just leaves for some reason. You don't think about it. You go into a deeper think mode and you don't get lost, and you remember the next day what you thought about. You know, I've always had pens when I write down ideas. I really have a pen now because Delta 8 just gives me a whole nother level of thinking, man.
Yeah, that's why I took a couple drops of that saffron, but just as we were starting this, because as I said, there's something to do. It expands. It expands my thought process. It allows me to flow more, and I just I get energized by it. I really do.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like it helps you forget the bullshit?
I feel I mean it's sort of like a level of focus. It gives you a level of focus
No, look, I've always had that focus. I can think a thought until there's nothing left. But then, oh, you got to worry about taxes. Oh, you got to worry about this. Oh, you got to worry about that. So you get clouded. But when you're on Delta 8, you don't think about the tatas and the monsters and the roaches. You don't think about that. You think about going forward with your thinking. You expand. I've heard people talk about this, and I'm like, bunch of freaking weirdos. There's no way that any drug does that. But it does, and I hate to admit that I was wrong, but I was wrong. It opens up your mind. Is it the do-all? Is it? No, but it's so much better than what choices you do have. I think for probably years of drinking, there would be times where I just, and this is what's so sad, I was hurting so bad and I couldn't move and I couldn't walk, man. From being a health nut, healthy as could be, to where I had to be a couch potato. And then I would take a few drinks and it would just hide the pain. Yeah. And then I would just walk my, but I'd pay for it the next day. But there's something about just hitting that vape pen 2 or 3 times, man. You don't have to hit it 40 or 50 times. Yeah. It doesn't just take your mind off the pain. It definitely does that. But there's something else in that. I don't know if it's the CBD that's in it. I don't know. So that's one of the reasons why I watch your channels and stuff like that. You talk about the different CBDs and the different this that goes into the Delta 8.
Well, look, I gotta say here, I think we've been running now, probably coming close on an hour. So I'm gonna bring it to a close here, because I often look at it and I ask myself, would I watch a video for an hour? So we're getting to the end now. And I suppose, is there anything that what can we be doing better? I suppose I always like to ask that. What areas do you see? You see the YouTubes, you see everything. Where could we be improving?
From a business standpoint or from a consumer standpoint?
Both.
To you as a consumer.
Yeah.
From business, get your product in these stores. And I don't know how the answer is. Get your your competition is in every store. There's 2 or 3 guys we've talked about. Yeah. They're in every store. How did they do that? And that's what I hope you can figure out to do, or I hope somebody can help you. As far as a consumer, I really do. I think that there's just going to be people that get it. It's hard. I'm sure there's a lot of people that you get on and you start talking about your moral capacity and where you want to go and you're north. You've got they don't really care about that, but I think that's important to a lot.
Yeah, some people are like, shut up, I want to this is the business. Yeah, I get it.
That I can justify spending $70 for a cart. When I can buy a cart that's good enough for 30 is because Luke has convinced me that he's looking out for my welfare, and he is not going to bullshit me. He is not going to sell my health out for his profits. I hope that Luke goes to bed broke as long as he's made a difference, or rich as long as he's made a difference. Thank you. I think that's what Luke wants. Luke wants to make a difference.
Yes.
That will catch on. I promise you, you're going to build a culture or a following by doing that. You got to continue to be different. Again, if your product sucks, I still use it. It doesn't, but I think I would still use it because I'm behind the man with the drink.
Well, it's something, and I'll just say, it is, it's not just me, right? It's you, it's everybody. It's a collective here, because, I have my ideas, you give me feedback, and we are working on this together as a team. You helping me, even today, deciding to take time out of your day to talk with me, I feel honored that you have given me this time, and not only that, but other people can now see this and relate to it, and it helps them too. So I really want to thank you very much, James. I believe this is a start to a wonderful relationship. I always, as I said before, feedback. Anytime you want to shoot me a text or anything, we hop on this again if we want to. Just give it to me, and I really just wish you the best the rest of your day. And you have gotten your review pack, right? Because you are a part of the review team. You've not gotten your review pack. Oh, now I shot myself in the foot on camera there. Damn.
I understand you're busy. I understand that.
No, I'm unhappy about that because it should have been sent, and there's nothing more. I'm unhappy that has happened. But I will get that fixed Monday for you.
Listen, let me tell you this too. I think the review team is brilliant, but you have to do to them what you did to me. So, Luke, you can't help but admire you and like you and fall in love with your personality. So it's going to be hard for me to critique it. But
no, honesty. I want honesty. That's what I'm saying. You look. You helped me by saying this is not up to par. Or let's say for instance, you try a few of the products over time and you say, yeah, these are all wonderful, and then maybe further down the line there could be something you go, Luke, I'm going to be honest with you, don't fit. I'm like, thank you, right? Thank you. For instance, I want to see like a score out of 10. We'll give all the products at the end. If something's coming in at like a 6 even, that's no bueno. That's no good for me. So, and it's no good if it's not good enough for me, it's not good enough for anybody else. And so that's really, I want to make sure that we always have the best. And it takes a group, it takes a parliament, right, to get this done. And it's people like you, James, that really inspire me and really are bringing this into a whole new ecosystem together. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much again for taking the time, and we will be talking again soon, James. Thank you very much. All the best. Bye bye.